That's all I have this morning. And to get things started, I would like to hand it over to Donna Simpson, also with the Scranton SBDC.
Good morning. Welcome to today's program. We're happy that you're here. Our center, the Small Business Development Center at the University of Scranton, is part of the nonprofit Pennsylvania Small Business Development Center Network and also an accredited affiliate of the National Network of Small Business Development Centers. Today is SBDC Day across the nation, where we're celebrating entrepreneurs near and far. The SBDC in general offers educational programs and consulting services to entrepreneurs looking to start or grow their small businesses. We work with entrepreneurs in confidential one-on-one sessions and at no cost to them, all through the course of their business. We are able to offer no charge services thanks to funding and support from the Small Business Administration, the Partnerships for Economic Performance, as well as the University of Scranton. Do we have our map next? Is that the next slide?
Sure is.
All right, this is a map of Pennsylvania. As I mentioned, we do have services throughout the state and nation. Our center covers the blue area in the northeast corner of Pennsylvania. I think it's number 14. So if you're in any of those counties, we're happy to work with you. So I would like to take a minute to introduce my partner in crime in all things economic development, Tiffany Cross-Luciani, who is from the City of Scranton's Office of Community Development. Tiffany's going to share some of their programming efforts with us this morning. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning, Donna. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Tiffany Cross-Luciani, and I am the Director of Economic Development for the City of Scranton. And we are moving ahead with the new administration, Mayor Paige Cognetti. We have turned a page, I think, and we are trying to get out with the community and the small businesses to work with them side by side on their projects, on funding opportunities. So I just thought I would take a brief moment to showcase our website. We have actually two websites. There's the City of Scranton website, which has just been relaunched and revamped, which is beautiful. And we also have what's called scrantonworks.org. And this is kind of more the economic development website that we had done when the mayor started. She wanted something that people could quickly look at for economic development purposes. And we developed this early on. And on this, you'll see basically we have our work and live, our work from here initiative that the mayor had started, some information about jobs. The dining guide through Scranton Tomorrow is listed on here. For businesses doing business in Scranton, I can showcase there's some general steps here, some information from our LIPS, which is licensing and inspections permits. So on here, if you are looking to build out on your business, there may be some requirements there if you are starting a business or looking to revamp in some manner. One of the other things I thought I would quickly show you over here is our program funding. And under the program funding, we have, right now we have business grants going on, which is in process. However, it's closed as far as applications go. But we also have program funding in here that if you open this page, on the top, we have kind of more of the residential funding. But if you scroll down, you are going to see business and commercial funding. And here are, we have 4 opportunities for businesses. Loan to grant is a very popular one, as it is essentially a loan It starts as a loan and it's through HUD. The guidelines include job creation. So for every $35,000 borrowed and you create one job, that $35,000 can be forgiven. This is a group of funding up to $250,000. It does have to be, you can only utilize 30% of your overall project. So if you had a $100,000 project, you would only be able to utilize this program for $30,000. But creating one job right there is going to alleviate that component of the funding. So it goes from the loan to a grant and it's forgiven and you do not need to pay it back. Additionally, we have revolving loan fund. In the revolving loan fund, this is a low interest program. This is a loan. It does have to be paid back. Again, it's $250,000 worth of available funding, but it is 30% of the total project again. On there, some larger components are our RACP, the Redevelopment Assistant Capital Program. These are for large development projects that are over $1 million. $1 million is the base of what you can request on this. In addition to our local shared account, the LSA, these are fundings. These are smaller projects. I've seen them for 75,000, 120, that type of a thing. For build out on there. But I am essentially the person at the city of Scranton. If you're looking for economic development, business issues, funding, resources, I am the one that you can reach out to at the city of Scranton. My email address is my initials there, TC Luciani, LUCIANI at scrantonpa.gov. You can
Tiffany, if you could put type that out and maybe put that in the chat for everybody to see, that would be great.
Good. Absolutely. I will do that momentarily. And yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions, thoughts, concerns, or any help that you would need with the city of Scranton. And if it's not in our department, I certainly can connect you with the person that you would need to do. So very happy to work with you in any capacity that you need. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then I will put my email address in the box.
Very good. I'll just say thank you, Tiffany. You are such an amazing resource that the city has. So thank you for that. And those of you on or at the program today, feel free to reach out to her. She's very, very helpful. So thanks, Tiffany. So Michael, are you taking over now?
Yes, Donna, I am.
Okay, I just wanted to double check. I'm going to mute.
So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all of your time this morning to be here this morning to sit through our webinar. We always like to say that our webinars are both educational and entertaining. We will be taking questions throughout because we know that this topic can be maybe new to some of you as business owners. I'm a former small business owner myself. And I understand some of the issues that we're going to be facing as we continue to grow, and especially after kind of getting through 2020, when there's been a large shift going back towards e-commerce and being able to have a stronger presence. So we'll be talking about these issues and a lot more today. You did hear at the beginning, we were talking about when Donna was showing the map of Pennsylvania and the small business development centers and the 16 that are located. So any of the SBDCs in the state, obviously we work with startups and growth, really trying to get you to scale and those that are in a transitional phase. But if you're not familiar with SBDCs, we help with business development, we help with financial assistance and capital formation. As Tiffany had mentioned, we have representatives on staff that can help you with trade development if you're doing exporting and importing, or any type of environmental management issues. I mean, if you're buying a building or renting a space and you have some utilities, electrical, sewage, anything along those lines, we have those kind of professionals. They can work with you privately, confidentially, at no cost, one-on-one, and that's where our support role is here to help you. As we talked about briefly, we do consulting services, we do in small groups, we do training programs like this. Most of us have access to great subscription-based information and databases like on other, maybe your competition or things along those lines specific to your industry, because where a lot of us are university-based. So if you need more, demographic, geographic information on really trying to capture more of whoever your clientele may be, because I know so many of us are in different industries, and that's fine, whether you're a manufacturer or retail, service-based, e-commerce based, we still need more data. We still need to know more information because we're all in one same business, and that business is sales. We all get up, we all go to bed thinking about our next sale. We're in business. We're in business to make a profit. We have obviously utilities and bills and staff to take care of. We're trying to make a good profit. So we're here to help you. One thing that Donna mentioned is we are a center of excellence. There are 9 specific out of the 16 SBDCs that have what's considered to be staffing that are experts in particular areas. And there's agriculture, there's digital services through our office at Pitt, there's health and life sciences, there's those for Latino-owned businesses, tourism and hospitality, and also growth field, which is more focused on an overall larger, broader business plan, financial plan, marketing plan. So if you need some specifics in any of these areas, you can reach out and you can work with any of these 9 specific SBDCs that offer these centers of excellence. So for today, our agenda, we're going to talk about a couple things. First of all, I wanted to share with everybody, you don't have to take such copious notes. All of these slides, all this information that we provided for you, you're going to get a copy of. So if you want to take great notes, wonderful. If you got questions, we want to take your questions, but you will get a copy of these slides for your reference. Now, the agenda is talking about defining good websites and how important that is. Even if you're service-based, maybe you don't have a product that you're trying to commercialize and sell, but you want to have a strong presence online, we'll get into that. We'll talk about the cost of that. We'll talk about what's called search engine optimization, which is really how do we drive more traffic to your website or your social media sites. I have clients all the time that say, I do updates on my website and on my social media, and it's great because it doesn't cost me anything. Well, yes, it does. It costs you time, and your time is extremely valuable. And if that's part of your overall marketing plan, that's great. But I'm hoping that it's not just your only part of your marketing plan to go out and recruit and promote and retain existing clientele, but also attract new potential clientele. These are objectives we're going to go through today, and then we'll talk about some specifics in social media. So we're going to start off with a little survey says. I've been talking to a lot of business owners recently, and I've been talking about the importance of search engine optimization and what they feel as the actual business owners that they struggle with and what's really important to them. First thing that they have said in a lot of recent surveying that we have done is, number one, you better have really strong customer service behind your website, especially when it comes to even with social media. If you post something, but you don't respond to people that are, responding to some things that you are posting, and it's been a week or 2 weeks, you're losing that. So having who's going to actually monitor, who's going to manage? I'll be talking about being able to measure. If you can't measure what you're doing, you cannot manage it. And we'll get into these specifics. Second is if you actually do have something that you're selling on Etsy, selling on Amazon, selling on your website, do you have a strong fulfillment and shipping, distribution, the production, the manufacturing? Do you have all those components lined up in place? Third is analytics. Are you actually looking at like using Google Analytics, which is a free service that you can take advantage of through Google, which provides you with what's called canned reports. You can set up a canned report, which will, let's say Tuesdays at noon, and in your email, you're going to get a report that's going to actually show you for the past week or the past month or whatever you want to set those parameters to be. Hey, this is how many people went to my website. These are the pages that they were on. It's going to drive that kind of analytics for you. It's very similar to like restaurants when they have what's called a point of sale system. When they're looking at lunchtime, what is that particular seat? Is that a $10 ticket per every half an hour? That's how restaurants think. We need to start understanding our analytics for our websites. We will offer a search engine optimization report for all of you if you have a website. We'll be talking about that as part of our services at the end of our presentation this morning. Next is e-commerce financial transactions. That's actually one of the easiest things I've heard, because there's lots of lenders, banks, things along those lines that want to do those financial transactions for you, because they're obviously getting a cut. They're getting a percentage of those sales to do that. Next is cyber protection and prevention. I've had clients that have unfortunately been held for what they call ransomware. And they said that, my server's being hacked, and they're being forced to pay these fees, unfortunately, to go through these kind of issues. There is now cyber insurance, and there are ways to protect and prevent your business from having these kind of, if your business goes down because your website's down, that's the end of sales for that day. So I'll show you how we can do that. And last, I threw this in there is the last aspect, is if you've ever watched the TV show Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful always talks about, do you understand your customer acquisition cost? What is it that you need to acquire? How much time, effort, money are you spending in acquiring new clients, and that acquisition cost when it comes to websites and e-commerce? As we talked this morning, and my colleague Siddharth is going to join me in just a moment, I want to talk very broadly. It's the approach I take is we teach the tools. I want to give you the tools that you can use when we're done here this morning, that you can implement immediately. And part of that is, I like to say, I take what's called the inverted pyramid approach. That means taking a pyramid and flipping it upside down. I want you to think very broadly. Broadly meaning, how comprehensive do we understand that target market on who we are? I threw some examples out there. Do we understand who our existing clienteles are and our potential clientele? Are they going to our website? Are we using the right type of social media sites? How would you describe and understand and profile those particular clients? When I was in business, and I was in business for several years, I knew, and we'll talk about this with demographics, I understood the majority of the clients, 75% of the people I worked with who were my customers were male. I would say 65% of the clients that I worked with were not college educated. They were within a 2-hour time frame of where my office was located. I started to really understand my clients and my customers, because I needed to make better, which is ultimately what we're all talking about this morning, is connections. How do I better connect to them? Where are they located, and what are they really looking for? What are the products and the services or convenience? What is it? It may not just be pricing. We need to understand what's making them choose to make a decision to want to work with us and buy whatever it is that we are selling. And this, again, thinking broadly in that inverted pyramid, I want you to understand how different generations are making different decisions based on, obviously, the generational aspect. Think about the boomers and their time frame, the Gen Xers, the millennials, and the Gen Zs. Just start thinking about how they're using websites and social media. Before, boomers didn't grow up on tablets and mobile phones, but the Gen Zs sure did. So if I have a message that I'm trying to get out there, if I put something on LinkedIn versus Facebook versus Twitter, it's going to be a different message. So this is, again, getting to start to really understand getting my messaging out there to make better connections. And with social media, same thing. The boomers, the Gen Xers, the millennials, the Gen Zs, looking at their time frame and how, again, from a communication standpoint, what do they prefer and what are they used to? And that's why I kind of listed these aspects here for you. With, look at the boomers with the newspapers, the Facebooks, and the direct mail versus the Gen Zers with the TikTok, the Snapchat, and the Instagram. It's got to be different messaging. You can use the same campaign. You can talk about the same topic. Let's use the example of Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up in May. Mother's Day affects most of us. So how are you going to communicate something that relates to Mother's Day, related to what you do or yourself, and how are you going to get that message across to a boomer compared to a Gen Zer if whatever it is that you're selling is appealing and being purchased by Gen Zers or boomers or millennials or Gen Xers? Got to start to understand this a little bit better. So demographics, we'll get into age, gender, educational level, social class, race, and ethnicity. All these things are big factors to take into consideration. I'm going to jump back into my part of the presentation, getting more into a little bit of the social media, but now we're getting into, they talk about the weeds. Now getting into actual specifics about your website and what services that we can offer for you. So I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Siddharth. He'll be with you for a couple minutes, but he's going to start with what to actually sell online and having a stronger online presence. I'll jump in if there's some questions that I think are very relevant for the audience, or Sid and I will try and answer the questions in the chat throughout. So Sid,
Yeah.
welcome and good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would just kind of start with saying that the information that Mike provided was really, really helpful in understanding basically the structure of your audience. Now I'll talk about the products that you can sell online. What you should sell online. The first step in your digital transformation journey is to decide what you want to sell online. You could either create a website that sells products that meet specific requirements of your customers, or you could create a website that helps you talk about the services your business has to offer. Many websites are geared towards simply providing information. For instance, you could provide information about best places to explore in a particular region, as is done by sites such as TripAdvisor. In each of the cases, your strategy will vary. For example, if you want to sell products on your website, the text you use to describe the products or services would focus on sales conversion. But when you are providing just information through your website, your focus is more on creating awareness. So that is where your sales funnel will come into picture that Mike was talking about, the inverted pyramid, right? You create awareness, then you kind of create this lead magnet campaign, you get the emails of the clients, and then you finally convert the client to the sale. So which sales funnel are you, or which side of the sales funnel are you on, will basically decide what is the purpose of your website. Despite the different requirements of each of the website, one common theme of having a site is that it could really help to amplify your reach and help you to gain some good quality new customers. Next slide, please. There are a couple of features of an effective website that I think will really help in improving the overall performance of your channel to sales through website. It is important that your website focuses on enhancing customer experience. That means that you should create a website that is free of any clutter and it is easy to navigate and interact with. It is also very important that you optimize your website for mobile phones. Mobile traffic has increased more than 220% in the last 7 years, and 80% of the world population uses mobile phones for web browsing. When we talk about smartphones, that number shoots up to 96%. And this trend will only continue in the future with the rollout of faster 5G networks. So it is important to have a website which works well on mobile phones as well. Page speed is an important parameter of improving user experience. No user wants to wait for for a website to load that takes approximately 10 to 12 seconds to to show up. It is important to reduce your website's load time. Ideally, it should be between 2 to 3 seconds. A 1 second increase in the load time could potentially decrease your traffic by 27%. So that's how huge this load time could be in user experience. Lastly, it is important to focus on inbound marketing techniques like search engine optimization process. Mike mentioned a lot about social media, and digital ads, and he will talk about it later. But search engine optimization could also, help in generating good amount of returns in the long term, and it could, really help to amplify your reach. Next slide. One of the most important reasons for increasing the number of websites is the website building platforms, which are known as content management software. I have worked as a web developer before, and it was quite challenging to create a website with beautiful themes that enhance user experience. Content management software such as Wix, Shopify, and WordPress have made website creation process very, very easy and convenient. Anyone who could shop online is tech savvy enough to use the drag and drop functionality of these platforms to create their own websites from scratch. And the cost of these tools is within reach too. What you see in this table is cost of some of the most popular website building platforms on a monthly basis. Wix is is really good if you want if you want any good overall e-commerce functionality for a business. Shopify has great sales specific features. WordPress is the most popular content management software. It is one of the oldest ones as well. It More than 50% of the websites that you will notice here in the world actually are based on WordPress. So based on your specific requirements, you could use any of these platforms to create your website from scratch in in a matter of like 2 or 3 hours. Next slide. Now I'll talk about search and optimization process. There are basically two ways in which you can increase traffic on a website. One is through digital ad campaigns like Google Ads or Facebook Ads. In this approach, you basically pay Google or Facebook to create awareness about your website. In search and optimization process, you don't pay anyone, and you instead of you going out there to attract audience to your website, you simply focus on the quality of your content, keywords, and backlinks that help you to attract the traffic naturally to your website. And this process of organically attracting traffic is known as search engine optimization process. Organic search results are more credible, and it gives you a lot of traffic if done properly. You can get millions of users to your website. Organic research, search, although takes time to build up, and it could be a bit unpredictable as well. But if it done properly, it could really give you very good returns in the long term. Next slide, please. Uh, I'll talk about how search engine works, but before I go into that, I would first like to talk about which search engine you use. Although when we talk about search engine, Google is the first name that comes to mind, but it is not the only search engine out there. Which search engine will you use? That will depend on your customer demographics. So if you have customers in China, then there Baidu is more popular. In Russia, Yandex is more popular. In Japan, Yahoo is the more popular search engine. But it is safe to say that in most of the parts of the world, Google is a clear market leader with approximately 88.7% market share. Okay. There are some basic terminologies you would come across in the search engine world. One of them is search engine result pages. Whenever you search for something on Google, the results get that are shown that get populated are known as search engine result pages. A search engine like Google will show hundreds of pages showing you the content and information that has been ranked depending on the fractions of the content, relevance, location, and other multiple attributes. But before the ranking is done, there are two more important processes that are happening behind the scene. One of those processes is called crawling. Now, Google has these, programs called spiders, which are on the constant lookout for relevant, fresh content on the internet. If your website has that fresh content, Google scholars will crawl to your website and take your website's information back to Google's database. Google will now store your website's fresh information on its own database for instantaneous retrieval of the information. This process of Google storing, all your web pages on its own database to retrieve it quickly is called indexing. Think of it like an index of a book. You could search a topic on the index and go to that page in a short span of time. Google indexing works in the same way. Okay. After the indexing part is done, Google now assigns a score to each of the web page and website, and based on that score, your website's ranking is decided. Okay. So this is how a search engine like Google works. Next slide, please. What you see here is an example of a search engine result page when we search for a digital marketing. The top portion indicates the sponsored content of the search results, which could be identified by this word ad here, AD. Below sponsored content, you would see the organic content, where HubSpot is the top website based on domain authority, content, and relevance. And this, is our target in the SEO world. This is our holy grail. It is to bring your website on the first page and preferably on the first position of Google results. Next slide. Now the question comes, why is SEO important? Well, digital transformation was happening at a really good rate before COVID-19, but it has now taken a new urgency. People using e-commerce websites for shopping purposes increased by 30% in 2020, and this trend will only continue in the future. A search engine like Google is the first touch point of most of your customers. By simply creating a search engine optimized website, you could take advantage of this trend and gain some high number of new customers for your business. Second important reason of optimizing your website is the increased traffic. First page of Google's results captures approximately 90% of the search traffic, and top position in that result captures approximately 33% of the search traffic. Now, Google handles approximately 5.6 billion queries a day and 2 trillion searches in a day. If you can optimize your website and manage to get it on the first position of Google's results, you could attract millions of users to your website. Okay, next slide. So how do we improve our SEO? Now, Google uses a couple of powerful algorithms, which are called, which are basically, mathematical programs and instructions that help it to, organize all the information on the internet. Google's mission is to, organize all the information on the internet and present it to the user in less than a second. Okay. One of these programs that Google uses is called RankBrain, which takes into account 200 different factors to rank each web page on the internet. But not all of these, attributes are equally important. Three of those 200 factors are more important than the others. For example, content is still the king in the SEO world. By creating good quality, fresh content, your digital presence could be boosted by a lot. It is important that to rank favorably, you could create a content that is similar to your competition. If your competition is creating more videos while you are focused on creating infographic images, then there is a content mismatch. Okay, and that may not get your website ranked properly. Google is, and other search engines for that matter, are expecting you to create similar kind of content that is popular in your industry. And if you do not create a similar content, then your website will suffer, and it will not really be ranked properly in Google results. Okay, so it is recommended that you create a content in your website that is popular in your industry. Second point to note here is the backlinks. This is again a great way to improve your website's search rankings. Backlink is nothing but a reference, a link of your website that is found on another website. A high number of backlinks would improve your domain authority, which will make your website more trustworthy and credible. This would eventually help in improving your website search rankings and the traffic on your website. Third point to note here is the keywords and tags. Keywords are again a very good example of the ways in which you can improve your website's search rankings. Create your customer persona. Think from their perspective. What are they searching online? Okay, and try to replicate their intent in your website by using these keywords. That could really get the attention of the crawlers and bots from Google, and that will help in improving your website indexing and ranking chances. Next slide, please. There are a couple of common myths surrounding SEO process. One of them is that keyword density helps in improving page ranking, which basically means that you can use same keyword over and over again on the same web page and other web pages of the website. Now that's a black hat SEO technique. You can use one keyword on let's say 3 to 4 times in a page, but if you overdo it, like if you use it like 50 to 60 times on a page, then that's a black hat SEO technique, and Google's algorithms are smart enough to know when you're trying to spam or fool it. Using the same keyword over and over again will indicate to Google that you're trying to fool it, and that will get your website blocked. Okay, so it is important that you do not stuff same keyword over and over again, and use them judiciously. Social signals are a ranking factor. That again is a myth. This means that if you simply create a social media page, that is that is done and dusted, but that is not so. Google wants you to create active engaging content for your audience. Simply creating a social media page is not enough for your SEO. Links don't matter. Now that's again a myth. Like I said, backlinks really help to improve your website's domain authority, which eventually helps in improving the search traffic on your websites. So links do matter. Content is a king in the SEO world. The amount of content that you use in your website will definitely help in improving your digital presence. SEO is not a one-time activity. It may require some investment, in terms of time and resources at your end, of managing your digital assets from your websites to your social media pages. Only number one position matters in Google. That again is a myth, which basically means that you should strive to get your website on the first position only. Although the first position captures approximately 1/3 of the search traffic, but it is not the end game. You can buy backlinks. That again is a myth. That's a black hat SEO technique where you kind of boost your profile artificially. Now that again will lead, make Google angry, and that may lead to, your website getting blocked. Google Ads would increase your ranking. Now that again is a myth. Google Ads is a completely different part. It is, inorganic way of increasing awareness. Whereas what we are discussing right now is organic means search engine optimization process is, organic way to increase traffic, and it is completely different from Google Ads. So focusing on Google Ads will not really improve your SEO and organic results. Okay. Now Mike will talk about social media and digital advertisements.
Thanks, Sid. So I appreciate what Sid's been able to share with you thus far. Getting back to some of the slides I began with, when we were starting to understand, who our audience is, and depending on what industry you're in, we get this question all the time: is, how many sites should it be on? Should I be on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? And it never ends. There's so many that are out there. The question comes down to is, where are your audience? Where do they live? Where are they, posting? What information do they want from you, and on what sites? And working with a consultant, working with our office, we can help you start to identify those things. We will tell you, obviously, with the amount of popularity, just in the amount of usage, Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, these are some of the most popular ones that are absolutely out there. I will add, from a business to business, LinkedIn is really one of the most popular ones as well. So we obviously encourage you to do some identifying your audience, finding where your audience is, and what platforms that they're on, and then consider what kind of goals that you want to have for your business. When I was in business, we had a rule that we called it 21 and under. It was part of our marketing campaign. And what we did is we took the calendar year, 12 months, and we broke it into 3 quarters. And during those 3 quarters, we did 7 different marketing ideas, 7, 7, and 7, 21. And what we did at the end of that year is we went back and we ranked them. We ranked those 21 ideas, and we looked at what's called the return on that investment. Where did we thought that we had the best investment, both return from our time and money, and also from a response on who we were targeted? We ranked those 21 after that first year. And we were also looking at our competition. My business partner at the time always said, I was spending too much time looking at our competition. I didn't think I was spending enough time on looking at our competition, where they were on, on what websites, and their own website, and links, and on social media. I've had clients of mine say that they troll, stalk, whatever word you want to use, their competition all the time, because you're going after the same target market. So when it comes to social media, we always like to tell everyone, remember that the clients that you are working with are buying you on top of maybe your product, on top of maybe your services. They want a connection back to you. So this is called storytelling. And what we've seen, and these are just some good examples, getting back to my Mother's Day example, how can you put that information out there using some type of story that that you're going to get a connection to with your clients, so that they better understand you, and they want to make a better relationship, because we're all in the relationship business with our business itself. So these are great examples that we have used with some other clients through the SBD system that were able to allow us to share. And they said storytelling really helped them boost their because they were unsure, like, well, how they just didn't want to be out there and just talking about product and talking about price. They wanted to talk about how they could tell a story around that, and they built those stories into their social media campaign. We also see what's called cross promotion. Let me use the example of a banker. So if a banker has a client and they're using that banker for some financial services, well, that banker will if they listen enough, and as they listen more than you talk, then you're going to know that that client's probably going to need maybe an attorney, maybe they're going to need a CPA or some bookkeeping or some accounting services, maybe they're going to need some insurance services, maybe they're going to need some real estate services, and you can kind of make those easing their pains by making those kind of connections called cross promotions. You can make those referrals to clients. I had a client the other day, just yesterday. I made, because we have to make 2 or 3 recommendations when someone asks us at our center, and someone was asking us for a bank. I had a client that was working very closely with one particular bank on a loan, and ended up going with another bank because it just made a better connection. That the bank was willing to look beyond just the numbers and look at what else that company and that business was going to need. And they did some cross promotion, and they ended up getting the sales. The sale was on that loan. The interest rate was a little bit higher. The terms weren't, I'll be honest with you, as favorable, but they were more comfortable. They trusted, they had a stronger relationship with that lender than the one that was offering them essentially a better deal. So, this is things that we're seeing right now. Now, here's the big enchilada, we can say. We offer, through our office in the Center of Excellence, is a search engine optimization report. You can work directly with the representatives and the consultants at Scranton and put in a request. We will need your website. We will need to know where you are on social media. We need that information first. It takes us about 2 weeks to complete the report. We will email it to you in a PDF format. It's being done independently at no cost. It's about 10 to 14 pages. And then we will schedule a time with you so that we can walk you through the report. So it's not just, hey, we're just giving you the report. No, we want you to understand and comprehend this report that we've put together for you. We're gonna test your site on different browsers like Google and Safari and some of the other ones that Sid had mentioned. We'll look at it from a mobile standpoint, a tablet standpoint. We'll give you a score. Let's say it's a score of 50%. Well, that's 50 out of 100. Obviously, that's not a very good score. So make the recommendations, as you'll see here on number 14, high priority fixes, 16 low priority fixes. Make those corrections and changes. Then come back to us in 6 weeks from now or 2 months from now. We'll rerun that report for you. And maybe that score of a 50 is now a 75 or an 80. Those are things that we're going to offer for you. We'll do a nice summary. It's a great report. I'll tell you, in our office alone, just at the Pitt SBDC, we've done this for over 200 clients thus far. So we're reaching out. That's why we've partnered with Scranton. It's a great SBDC, and they want to provide this type of training and education and service for you this morning. We're glad to do it. I want to make one other quick announcement because I want to make sure that we have some time specifically to open up for some questions and some that you may have as part of our program this morning. If you didn't get the announcement, on March 30th, our office, in collaboration with all other of the 16 SBDCs, we are doing a webinar together at the same day and at the same time. If you are not familiar with the University of Pittsburgh's Medical Center, UPMC, they're the #1 employer in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, to tell you just from a size standpoint, Walmart is the #1 employer in 24 out of the 50 states. So if you want to compare, if Walmart is typically #1 in half of the states and UPMC is #1 in Pennsylvania, just from a size of scale, that lets you know how big that they are. We've been doing this program for 2 or 3 years. I'll tell you right now, let's check the numbers. We have over 300 small businesses registered as of this morning for this program. UPMC is looking for small businesses. They're continuing to grow. They are going to talk about what contracts they have not been able to fulfill, what contracts they need to fulfill, and what contracts they will want to fulfill going forward. They're trying to meet the small businesses to try and keep these jobs in Pennsylvania. That's why we're doing this webinar. And that's why we're doing it with all 16 on the same day and at the same time. There's a huge interest on this part because UPMC is coming to the table saying, hey, we've got these opportunities. Let's partner up and let's keep these jobs within these 16 SBDC regions and keep these jobs going. And it's additional revenue sources. Maybe you didn't have a strong 2020. This may be another revenue source for you. I'm telling you, I've worked with them before. They buy all kinds of services. They buy Band-Aids. They buy services for marketing. They buy paper products. They buy landscaping. You name it. We want to get you on the approval list. You got to get on the approval list first. Once you're on the approval list, then those kind of opportunities can come. So hopefully you can take advantage of this next program we're offering. This is our contact information, just in case you need it. A nice picture of a headshot of our main man, Siddharth, who heads up our digital services. So I thank him for his knowledge and his presentation this morning. I did want to take some time this morning because I am watching the time. You can feel free to unmute yourself, or if you have a question you want to put in the chat. But if you have some questions, if there's anything that we did not cover this morning that you want to know about, this is your time. We did this program for your benefit. So does anyone have any particular questions they wanted to ask based on what we've shared thus far? It wasn't that great a presentation, was it? We didn't cover everything. I'm sure we didn't. I'm sure, again, regardless of what industry that you're in, let's go back. I want to jump back to these services. So this is an SEO report. This is what we'll do for each and every one of you if you're interested. But we also have a questionnaire, and it's a 33-point questionnaire to talk about your infrastructure, to talk about the protection and the prevention of these types of cyber hacks and cyber threats that are out there. I mean, identity theft is the #1 crime in America and has been for almost 25 years straight. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So we're trying to protect you both personally as the business owner, but also the business itself, because we don't want you struggling with these things. This 33-point questionnaire that we can share with you just really starts to go over some in detail about how you have set up your infrastructure from social media and websites or financial transactions. We can give that information for you if you'd like it. All you have to do is just ask, just request it, and we'll send that to you. But it's great resources for you. As I mentioned, these are the tools that you can use and you can implement into your business immediately. So I haven't seen any questions come through the chat yet. How about anybody else? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question for Sid or I. We have a couple minutes before we wrap up if anybody did have any questions that we can answer.
This is Donna, and I just have 2 comments. One, I just hope everybody recognizes the great expertise this team has to help you with any of your SEO or any of the other things that we talked about. And the best part, no cost to you. Free, that means. So that's great. And also, I really appreciate you guys being easy to comprehend the topics that you talked about. Like you said it in words that I understood. So greatly appreciated.
That's okay, Don. I mean, most of us that we work with that are small business owners are very knowledgeable in our industry and talk our own language and terminology in our own industry. Yep. This is totally different language. I mean, it's totally different, things that we may not be familiar with or deal with on a daily basis. That's okay. We'll walk you through it. Like I said, let's crawl before we can, run and walk. So that's our approach.
Michael, hi, this is Tiffany. I'm curious as to where we find this specific information. Is it just general SBDC, or do we have to go into the Center of Excellence to find the digital service information?
You just put it in that request through Donna or Elizabeth. Okay. We have essentially like a portal that we take requests, because we can get requests every day from any of the 16 SBDCs that we do these reports for. So that helps us manage it. And then again, it takes us about 4 or 5 hours to actually run the report based on the information that you give us on what you want us to do for you. And then again, we're probably around a 1 week to 2 week turnaround before we'll get that report sent back over to you. and then schedule a follow-up meeting with you specifically to walk you through the report.
Okay, great. So you go to the local SBDC,
Local
put the
XPDC.
request in there, and then, okay, great.
Yep.
Great to know.
Try to make it a turnkey, and as less as many, at least as many clicks as possible.
No, thank you. That's great.
All right, Donna, again, there's no one's obviously unmuted themselves, so we didn't have any questions, and there was nothing that came through the chat. So I'll turn this back over to you.
All right. Well, we are so thrilled that you were able to join us today. This has just been a great big help. If it's been helpful to me, it's got to be helpful to everyone that's attending today. So that is greatly appreciated. Programs like these you can find on our website, scrantonsbdc.com, under training, and go through the list, find all the great trainings that are available now. The various centers of excellence have been providing really great detailed information on the variety of topics that they work with. It's really been a good time for learning, even though the rest of the year before us has been a little crazy. The learning opportunities, training opportunities have been really, really good. So we appreciate you being here and hope you find other programs useful too. Sid, Mike, thank you very much for joining us and working with us. You made this very easy for us to put together, and we appreciate that. So anytime you want to work with us, let us know.
That's a big can do.
Great, great.
Thanks, Donna.
And anyone that needs our contact information, as Mike mentioned, it's right here. Just reach out. We're happy to point you in, whatever direction you may need. So thank you for being here.